Hello everybody, welcome to Wednesday's Assembly. I hope you all worked hard with our Safer Internet Day themes yesterday. Today we're going to do an assembly about another one of our school values, and this one's about friendship. And I have some friends from school to help with my assembly today. And I set them a challenge. Obviously I showed them these pictures, some famous friendships. You'll recognise most of them, I'm sure. And the challenge I asked them was to think about which of these groups of people, which of these twos and threes are the best friends? Which of these groups are the best friends? Is it Timon and Pumbaa from The Lion King? Is their friendship the best? Is it the strongest? What about Woody and Buzz from Toy Story? Are their friendships the best? Or is it SpongeBob and Patrick? Have they got the best and the strongest friendship? Or maybe it's Harry and Hermione and Ron. Maybe theirs is the strongest friendship. Just take a minute now to decide which one you think is the strongest friendship. Which is the best friendship of all, and why? Which is the strongest friendship of all, and why? Pause the video so you can have a little talk about it, and when you press play again, we'll hear what your friends at school think.
We think that SpongeBob and Patrick Star are the best of buddies because they've been friends since they were born together.
Patrick often tries to give SpongeBob the best advice, even if it seems very illogical. The two of them have been a part of the Best Friends Forever club since they were very little.
SpongeBob is very giving and selfless to Patrick, as there have been times where SpongeBob even let him his brain without even thinking twice.
In the episodes Home Sweet Pineapple, Patrick allowed SpongeBob to sleep in his rock with him, let alone the bad results. SpongeBob is one of the very few people who does not openly criticize Patrick for his brainlessness,
and instead is the only one who thinks Patrick is smarter than himself.
I think Harry, Hermione and Ron have the best friendship because they always stick by each other and protect each other. When they fall out, they always come back to one another. Although three can be hard, they always involve all three of them. The three of them always help each other no matter what.
I think that Ron, Harry and Hermione are the best because although three can be a hard number to have, they are always there for each other and always help each other out no matter what happens and help each other on every quest they go on.
Friendship.
Timon and Pumbaa because when Pumbaa was a kid, he was quite smelly and none of the other animals liked him, but Timon was fine with having a friend that was smelly.
Did they ever fall out?
And they fell out once, but they forgave each other straight away and made up for their mistakes.
I think Pumbaa and Timon are the best of friends because they have always been there for each other, even though they're completely different animals, but they still treat each other fairly. They love to make friends and make people feel better when they feel down or upset.
I wonder if you agreed with the children from the school there, with whose friendship you thought was the best and the strongest. I want to share with you a story from the Bible today about friendship. And none of these characters, obviously on the board, feature in the Bible. The story I'd like to share with you is from the Old Testament. And we know, don't we, that the Bible is the holy book that Christians follow, and that it is split into two books. And they're two books, they're two different testaments. And testaments is a word that for Christians means truth. There's the New Testament, and there's the Old Testament. I wonder if anyone can remember. What is the difference? When do all the events in the New Testament take place? The New Testament stories all feature a particular person. There's a big clue. Have you got it? The New Testament stories all feature Jesus, or are all set after Jesus was born. So all of the teaching that Christians follow from the New Testament is from Jesus, whom they believe to be the Son of God. Now, the story I'm going to tell you today is from the Old Testament, and that means That means that it's a story told by Christians, and it's also a story told by Jews. And it happened before Jesus was born. It features the young man on the right here. I wonder if you can guess who he is. Let's see. Let's have a look. There's some clues on the screen. Let's have a look at some of the clues. Well, you can tell by his clothes, and also by the clothes of the larger man, that this is probably a story from a long time ago. And I said it's from the Old Testament, haven't I? So we know that's a long, long time ago. There's a battle going on. Obviously there's a fight involving at least these two people, but on the back here you can see an army. Yeah, the army's on this guy's team, on the big guy's team. And there's another army over here. That's on the smaller person's team. The man on the left is very large. You might say he's giant. He's a very large man. He's obviously got his spear and his shield. The man on the right is not so big. And he is swinging something around his head. If you look carefully at that clue, he's actually swinging a sling. A sling, a small pouch on the end of a string. And these days, shepherds would use these to fling stones, just to scare off things like wolves from their sheep, away from their sheep, away from their flock. Now, if I were to press play on this picture, then I can't because it's an illustration. But if I were to be able to press play on it, then you would see a stone fly from the sling and strike the giant. Can you remember this story? You might have heard of it before. Well, it's the story of David and Goliath. Now, we're not going to share the story of David and Goliath today. Lots of you probably know it already. It's about a young person called David who was quite small, and he fought against a giant called Goliath to win a great battle. But David features in other stories in the Bible too. And I want to share with you one about friendship today. And you see, David lived in Israel, and the king was Saul. S-A-U-L. Saul. But it was foreseen that the next king after Saul would be David. Now that obviously should be pretty exciting for everyone, because David, after all, is somebody who slew the giant, who was able to kill Goliath. So obviously he's a wonderful choice to be king. But actually, Saul had a son. Saul had a son called Jonathan. And Saul, obviously, being the king, was hoping that Jonathan would be king after him when he died, that Jonathan would take over as king. Why not? So he actually got a bit worried about David. And David and Jonathan grew up together. And they became young men who were the best of friends. David and Jonathan were really good friends. But Saul was worried that David was going to take over as king. And he didn't want that to happen. He wanted to stay king himself, and then he wanted Jonathan to be king. But Saul kept David close. He kept him close as one of his allies and one of the people who gave him advice, until one day he was so worried about David becoming king. He threw a spear at David, which fortunately for David missed him. This is a very famous and celebrated scene from the Old Testament, from the Bible. You can see here an artist's illustration. This is by an Italian painter called Guercino, all the way back in the 17th century, look. he's painted the picture of Saul throwing the arrow towards David, while David was playing to him from a musical instrument. Now Saul tried to pretend that this was an accident, or he didn't mean to hurt David. So David needed a friend. Jonathan helped David. Jonathan kept a really careful eye out for Saul and learned that Saul really did want to hurt David. So Jonathan was in a really difficult position. His dad wanted to kill his best friend. What a difficult place to be in. So Jonathan had to make a choice. And this is where this story is a strong example of friendship. Jonathan chose to help David. He helped him escape, and he set him free and told him to run away. He even tried to reason with Saul to say, "Don't do it, Dad." But that didn't get him very far. In fact, we know now Saul's pretty partial to the odd spear throw, so poor Jonathan had a spear thrown at him as well. Luckily Saul wasn't a great shot, so he was okay. So David and Jonathan had to say goodbye, and they never saw each other again. But the really strong act of friendship was that Jonathan was willing to tell David all about Saul's plan and let him go free to run away. And Saul spent many years trying to get David, but he never did. And it was Jonathan, his friend, who helped him. I'd like to end assembly today with a prayer, please. If you'd like to join in, you may want to bow your head, hold your hands together, and then finish with Amen, as usual. Help us to remember the importance of our value, friendship. To remember that being a really good friend often means putting other people before ourselves. Sometimes being a good friend means making difficult decisions. It means choosing to do one thing over another. And sometimes it means making other people unhappy too. It's not always easy, and friends have to forgive each other. Amen. Thanks for listening today, everybody. Now, tomorrow's assembly, Thursday's assembly, is not going to be an assembly for me. We're going to go back to Bicton College and have a look at what animals they can share with us again tomorrow. And then on Friday is when you'll see me next in our celebration assembly at 11:25, when we will dress to express. So you can dress up in whatever kind of fun clothes you want to on Friday, ready for our no screens afternoon. I look forward to seeing you all then. Goodbye now.